Well, hey there, idiots. Welcome back to Observe. In today's video, we're going to be analyzing the nonverbal communication in a very short segment from TikTok, which is centered around somebody known now as the couch guy. And yeah, many of you wanted me to take a look at this and give you my opinion on this. More on that in just a second. Let's go ahead and run the intro. Okay, so backstory for this is not totally certain. This is a very odd instance to begin with. There is a boyfriend who is in this place and he's being surprised by his girlfriend coming in, and the internet is extremely upset by how he is responding to his girlfriend coming in and surprising him. I want to be able to take a look at this and see what we can see. We'll watch through the entire video, and then I went ahead and digitally slowed it down to, I think it's like 30% of its original speed, so we can see kind of how it all flows. You will notice that as it's playing the really slowed down version that it messes up some of the letterings because I had to use a system in there that kind of, it doesn't handle letters well. But as you can see, the rest of the video will look fine. Just wanted to let you know that. Let's go ahead and watch it, and then we'll break it down.
So far for you. So far. Just like that, all I breathe, all I feel, you are all for me. I'm in, just like that, all I breathe.
So that's the full, that's the full clip. That's all of it. That's the whole thing. Some people have sent me or tried to send me some background stuff for it as well, and I appreciate that. It's actually a little difficult to find some background stuff for any of these people involved. So everything that I will be referring to in this video is going to be based off of generalities, and I have no opportunity to be able to understand a specific baseline for each individual person. So just keep that in mind, that with this, as soon as this sort of instance comes up, everything is going to be much more limited, especially in its overall accuracy. What this is going to end up boiling down to is we can see what emotional states they might be feeling, but as to what is actually going on, it might be a little bit more difficult to decipher. So let's just go ahead and start with what we see here. As they're walking in here, it looks like a guy is coming in and he's carrying a bag of something. It looks like a grocery bag, so that might mean that maybe he was sent out to go get groceries and it was actually like a surprise thing. We're also grabbing your girlfriend and bringing her in, or maybe he was coming in. We're not sure. Regardless, he has that. So he's walking in first. Some people have been pointing out, oh, that's very strange that he's walking in first. I don't think that's actually too strange. I don't think the order of people is that important. Whoever wants to walk through a door walks through a door, and maybe they were looking for more of a reveal. I'm not sure. Regardless, there's just not enough to be able to be like, you know what? He's walking in first, so obviously something's wrong. But this is very early on, so let's continue watching. And yeah, so since I mean, the video's silent all the way through, so when it's slowed down, otherwise it would just be a garbled noise mess. So I will continue talking as things are revealed, and then I'll pause and whatnot as well. So just letting you know that. Okay, so before we start in here, something that I will let you know is an indicator of happiness that is more difficult to control are something called gravity-defying gestures. They often indicate happiness, and this is often played out in feet or full frame, and they will crop up in areas of almost like bouncing. A person's feet will bounce when they're having a good time, or they're happy, or they're even passionate about something. Say they're really involved in a conversation and they have something that they really want to convey or something like that. You'll see their feet just start bouncing all over the place. This can also happen with bodies as they're feeling good, and it's literally a gravity-defying gesture, and that indicates at least some level of excitement, happiness, or passion about something. So those will be things that I'll be keeping my eye out for in here. And yeah, let's just continue forward on that. So all right, you can see from her, she's got a little bit of that gravity-defying stuff as she's bouncing just a hair as she's walking in there, and that means that she's She's feeling happy about it. She's feeling excited about it. That's good to see. That's what you would expect to see in a surprise situation like this. So let's continue watching. Now, we're running into an issue. I have sharpened this image as much as I could to see if I can maybe pull out some details of people's faces and things like that, because those are very telling areas of a person. Unfortunately, that's just not an option to look at here, so I'm dealing with kind of a pixelated, garbled mess visually. So I'm going to have to rely on some of the larger tells non-verbally that might be able to be more revealing for us. So first, he hasn't really moved his position since she walked in. He hasn't started any bouncing, gravity-defying gestures to indicate intense excitement or happiness. She has, and even some of the other people in the room have started doing that, but he hasn't. He has stayed very stationary. Very stationary. Now, this doesn't mean that he's not excited or happy or anything. He's just not displaying it non-verbally that way. But it is also interesting that he has stayed completely stationary as she's walking in. Now, this is an indicator of possible surprise, and likely, obviously, he is surprised by this. Now, whether or not that's good surprise or bad surprise is difficult to say right now. He is frozen. That is part of that. That surprise is where you freeze. It's part of the fight, flight, freeze response systems. Now, we have to try to decide whether or not it's because he's afraid of being caught out in something like a cheating behavior, or is he just surprised because his girlfriend is there? Let's continue watching. Okay, so something that I will note is you could see him grab something off to the side with his hand. I'm not sure exactly what that is. We can't really see. Maybe it's a phone, maybe it's a remote, maybe... I don't know. You can't see it because now there's a guy in the way, but he does grab something as he's setting down like a controller or another remote or something like that. It's really difficult to see with this blurriness. And that's interesting that one of his first instinctual movements is to grab something over here. That's kind of out of the way. I'm not sure why that is. People have also been making note of the fact that there are multiple people in the room, that the number of people in the room, that there are 3 girls in there and that there were 3 guys in there, and that seems like a pretty evenly matched or paired up number, which is where I think a lot of this is coming from, is that it's the 3 girls, 3 guys, it all lines up, it must be a cheating situation. Also, he seems to be acting less than excited, and I think that's where a lot of this is building in from. So there are some red flags that are certainly cropping up so far. Let's continue watching the rest of this. Okay, so now he's kind of hunching down, he's closing in, he still has his arm across. He hasn't really opened up to her. I'm not getting excitement from him. I'm not getting cheating from him. And also just, you know, there's not like a nonverbal, an actual scientific nonverbal tell for cheating. Like there's just not. It might come out in things like guilt or shame or disconnects, desynchronizations between verbals and nonverbals and things like that. It might come out that way. But especially in this sort of situation, there's so little to work with that it's difficult to say. There's definitely more that we can unpack from this, so let's go ahead and continue watching this. Okay, now I see what he was grabbing with his hand. As he was reaching over, the first thing that he did grab was his phone. And that's interesting because that means it's at least important in his mind to grab his phone. Now, maybe his phone was in a precarious position and it was going to fall and he was worried it was going to break. Maybe he really does just like to take his phone with him wherever he goes. So in this situation, for him to have the mental wherewithal to be like, I got to grab my phone when my girlfriend is coming in to surprise me, that means that it's important enough for him to grab it. Our question is why? Why is that important? Not sure. We really cannot be sure why it's that important, but we can rest assured that it is on some level important to him because it wasn't in his hand before. He intentionally grabbed it and had to hold on to it when he was going to hug his girlfriend. All right, looks like we've got a hug going on here. We could see some gravity-defying movements with some of the other people in the surrounding area, meaning happiness, excitement, everybody's feeling like that. or at least this gentleman here in the very forefront of the frame here, he is definitely feeling some of that excitement, the residual excitement from it. I might see if I can reverse this some and look at some of the behaviors of some of the nonverbal behaviors of the women sitting on the couch as well, to see if that is anything revealing for us. But let's go ahead and watch this hug here. We'll see if anything else comes out here, and then we'll go. Okay, so big hug happening. And okay, so the video just wrapped up here. The hug at the end, she's still doing more gravity-defying gestures, indicating excitement. He's still not really doing anything with that. He does have a smile on his face from the terrible pixel quality that we could see. I'm gonna reverse it to right where she comes into the room and we can see any movement on the couch. Okay, so they're walking in here. I'll go ahead and pause it here. All right, so they were checking in, the girls on the couch, at least one of them was checking in. The one that was closest to Couch Guy was checking in to see what was happening, and I'm gonna see if there's any postural changes or shifts that can let us know maybe some dynamic change in the room, something like that. So let's see. It does look like the girl who was sitting closest to Couch Guy, which also, if you notice where his legs are pointed, he is tilted inwards towards them. And your feet will more or less indicate where you do want to go. If you want to stand in a group of people and look at the people's feet, you can pretty quickly see who's interested and or invested in being in that situation and who's not, just by where their feet are pointed. And so for him to have his body pointed kind of inwards, as you can see, towards the girls, that does let you know that he does at least want to be where he's at. It's not like it was an awkward seating arrangement and he had to be just sat there, because then you could kind of see that sort of awkwardness come out a little bit, even by the positioning of his feet. But they are solidly pointed towards the rest of the couch, and that is a good indicator. Also, the girl next to him does shift over a hair, which means that she was sitting pretty darn close to him. And it was enough so that maybe it even made her feel uncomfortable to have the girlfriend walk in and her be so close to him, so she had to shift. So let's go ahead and go. Okay, she just did another shift. The girl next to him did another shift. This is 2 shifts to try to scooch away from Couch Guy. And the first shift is understandable, especially as somebody walks into a room. Everybody's gonna do a more or less postural change as it introduces a new person, there's a new dynamic to everything, so everybody's gonna do a postural change. So she does one, which is maybe a red flag, but not really. Now she's done another one as well, which is intentional. It's not like the just automatic reaction like, oh, hey, somebody's in here, that's cool. It's more like, oh, hey, somebody's in here. Okay, I'm gonna scooch over a little bit. And so that is a little bit more of a red flag, that she was sitting close enough that she felt the need to scooch twice. I'm gonna watch through it just one more time here and see if there's anything that I can pull out. Interesting thing. With the gentleman here in the foreground again, he shows maybe excitement of the instance that they're in, but he has a very substantial self-soothing gesture here on his arm where he's really holding on to this. And maybe that's just uncomfortableness with the surprise thing. Maybe he feels like something's off and it's making him feel off. Regardless, this huge self-soothing gesture is popping out, meaning that on some level he's agitated. Maybe this is a weird instance. Perhaps this is a moment that they didn't want the girlfriend to come in on, something like that, maybe. Honestly, we can't really say. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up here because I think I've gotten as much as I can get out of this realistically without starting to really like pull on unrealistic, not scientific things. So, my opinion of Couch Guy. Couch Guy wasn't that excited to see his girlfriend. There were some red flags centered around his behavior. His need to protect his phone or grab his phone and have that so prevalently in his control the entire time. Why? Phones can be often an indicator of intimate conversations with other people in a cheating situation, so maybe that's it. Also, the girl next to him did 2 postural changes. One would be automatic and expected when anybody who is new enters the room, but then the other one does seem odd. It's a little bit out of place and it means it's intentional. So there's 2 things that are a strange dynamic. So all in all, this situation is strange. Is he cheating? I can't say. It would be very remiss of me to be like, oh yeah, he's definitely cheating, just based off of how little information is genuinely there, without trying to be like, okay, well, if I were here, then I would do this, or I would say a certain thing, or he should do this, or something like that. So I don't want to just introduce all of my bias into here and be like, oh, he's definitely cheating. I don't know what their dynamic is. I don't know what their relationship history is, or anything along those lines. I don't know how he normally expresses surprise or excitement. He could be a not very emotive a person. So I'm gonna let you take this information that I was able to present you with and kind of form your own opinion off of that. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you did like this video, hit the like button. If you want to be able to see more like this, or true crime, or YouTube drama, or anything along those lines, hit the subscribe button. I do upload twice a week. My upload schedule is wonky, it changes on days to days, but it's roughly around the Monday and Friday areas generally, but 2 videos a week. So if you would like to be able to see more nonverbal content like that, please feel free to do that. This video is always partnered with, the channel is partnered with the EIA out of the UK, which is the Emotional Intelligence Academy out of the UK. You can go there to get a fully accredited master's program, and it's centered around high stakes communication, high stakes nonverbal communication. You could learn to do the things that I'm doing here from some of the world's most educated people in the field. Very, very quality education. So please go check that out. If you use my link in the description below, fill out the form there, you get at least a 10% discount, maybe all the way up to like a 50 or 80% discount on some of the courses. So I suggest you go and do that. So big thanks to them again. But without further ado, that's all I've got for today. My name is Logan, and you have been oh so awesome, as you always are, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers, guys.